Greetings and warm welcome to one and all present here. I'm Srinitya, your host for today's guest lecture. This is a guest lecture 1 of annual Techno Management Fest of IIT Patna, Celesta. Here we will invite our guest today. Before that, we would like to inform that we are live on YouTube, so you can keep asking questions and that will be addressed at the end of the talk. Let me first introduce to our guest today. Mr. Haren is a proud alumnus of IIT Patna and IIM Bangalore with extensive experience in business strategy, growth, engagement, and development in new age technology solutions such as robotic process automation, conversational AI, and other AI based customized offerings. He's an aspiring entrepreneur with a never ending passion for working with technology startups and is a strategic advisor for multiple early stage startups in India. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further delays, I'll call upon stage our guest for today's lecture, Mr. Haren Chelle.
Hey, Srinitya, thank you. Thanks a lot for the warm welcome and introduction. I was telling, uh, I was telling the other person just now that it's always a pleasure and pride to be speaking back at the institute from where you have graduated, right? And from the fest for which you have worked as a convener 6 years down the line. Uh, takes a, uh, I mean, it just gives you a walk around the memory lane of how the last 6, 7 years has been, right? I think so. Absolute pleasure. Thanking the entire Celesta team, the professor in charge, the organizing team, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. For, would love to just interact with all the folks here. So I know it's a Saturday evening in at IIT Patna, the second, third, fourth years are just back to campus. You might all be excited to, with a lot of games around, sports around, e-gaming and stuff. So I'll not make it very boring for you. ऐसे नहीं लगना चाहिए कि यार क्या, I mean, what is going on? Rather, we would go out and play nice games, but I'll make it more interesting for you guys. Yeah, I'll start with the presentation maybe. Take you through some things which I feel have helped me uh, since my graduation to today across the journey on how it helped. And I'll take my current employee or employer, sorry, yellow.ai, who has played a major significant factor in my growth in the corporate and professional journey. We'll take that as an example on how a young grad from a tier one college can come out, express him or herself, and grow in their career path. Right. I think we'll cover mostly around that. So I'll just share my screen, get started, and I think till the time I'm sharing my screen, I'll not be able to see any one of you or your comments. So I'll come to the comment spot later once I go through the deck. And as Nitya said, please shoot out comments and happy to answer as many as possible. Right? Thank you. Nitya, if you're there, you will have to help me validate whether my screen is visible or not.
Yeah, sir, it is visible. You carry on.
Okay. I hope it's actually visible now. Uh, right? Yeah, guys. I think the topic I wanted to discuss or cover today was what should be a future leaders toolkit, right? And that too through a typical startup journey, right? So for most of the people, the startups are a very unique and new term to be used, very exciting in nature, but the struggle behind it and the sort of opportunity it brings for youngsters, uh, only the people who go through the process would understand, right? I believe it's an uncharted territory for most of the young folks who are sitting in the campuses and then exploring opportunities there. And I think it's very important to know or go through what it takes. I mean, what amount of effort does it take to be successful and grow with the company, along with the company, right? And then make sure your career path is progressive in nature, right? So before I get started, I'll quickly introduce my employer, Yellow AI. Yellow AI is the world's leading conversational AI bots platform, founded in San Francisco, US. We have offices across Asia, Europe, Middle East, and our research and development center being in Bangalore, India. right? So we are a 6 to 7 year old company. We work with 1,000 plus enterprises across the world. And currently, the platform hosts more than a billion conversations through its virtual assistants spread across the entire globe, right? So I think that's the company. About the speaker, I think it's been all around in all the posts. But again, I take immense pride and privilege in speaking around what all I could do for my employer. Right, I think joined them 3 years back, opened multiple countries along with the guidance of my CRO and our CEO. Right, so currently driving the largest revenue unit outside India. Did that in 2021, hopefully in 2022 as well, right? So expanded APAC uh, uh, from multiple segments, customers, and industries perspective, and building a great team out of the region for further more expansion, right? So yeah, now let's get into the exciting part of it, right? How it all began, right? While I was in the campus, I think I don't know whether you guys have it today, but I think during our time in the third years, we used to have a optional or elective for entrepreneurship, right? Where very nascent side of entrepreneurship was shown, right, on how business works or what are important. Like we used to have some small tasks like create a small business within a hostel, right, to see profitability and stuff, right? uh, and then but there was also I mean, there used to be people used to make fun at that time in the campus that whoever could speak nice English, मतलब जो भी सही इंग्लिश बोल देता था तो उसको बिजनेस साइड जाने का इच रहता है, right? Though it might not be right, but I don't know why, but I always used to feel that the strength is in merging tech and business together rather than being a core techie or coder, which I'm not, right? I think 2010, 2012 was the time when AI as a technology was pretty nascent. We were just hearing about it, right? Machine learning, NLP, AI, right? Very nascent stages of it. And I think one of the easiest, or I mean, easiest from, I don't know what, I mean, I think I should not call it easiest, right? But yeah, easy in terms of the spread or application, but one of the toughest ways of implementation and development was conversational AI, right? I mean, today, conversational AI is like a wildfire, right? It's spread across because everybody wants to automate multiple functions within an organization, right? So if you see a decade back, right, that was when it was in R&D, that was one of the primary or initial deployments of conversational AI tech, right? One thing I was very sure at that time, while coming out of the campus, what was there are two approaches, right? Either you join one of the largest tech companies, which comes to our campus placements, and join there and be a great developer, build multiple products, or you take the risk of joining a very young company, right, from the B2B space, where there is more tech discussed or tech built, and try to build a gap between tech and business, right? At least on that point, on what to do, where to head towards, I was very clear, right? So I think that's when Happy and my first company happened out of campus, and then it progressed. But again, I mean, that was the underlying statement, right? That is bringing the flavor of tech into business. Right? All that said and done, uh, startups are risk, right? It's all about the risk you take up, and again, the credit definitely goes to uh, the family and the backing, right? Allowing you to explore startups as a journey, correct? So I think this was the typical background, the background being unconventional thinking, right? So if whether you want to do something really conventional, play with your strength of being a techie out of IIT, or do you think out of the knowledge you gain, not only from the lectures or from the semester exams, but again, what IITs or specifically IIT Patna as a campus teaches you on a cultural knowledge or behavioral front. Does all that together help you in identifying a new career path for you? Uh, I mean, that was a question mark, and I think I allowed myself to answer that, right? That was one side of it on how it all began in the SaaS AI system. I think the second part of it, I just put the framework now, we'll speak something in more detail, is what leads you to be a great leader very early into your career, right? I think to start with, it's all about three P's, which I insist in all my writings. I mention in a lot of uh, my discussion with my friends, peers, and stuff, right? And it's not just for the sake of saying it. ऐसा मत सोचना कि बस ये आ रहा है तो इसको तो speak I mean lecture देना तो ये कुछ भी देते जा रहा है. It's not like that, right? And this is all my pure, real experience, right? Passion, patience, and perseverance, right? These three are really, really important. If you I think I've heard few big business leaders and entrepreneurs saying this, that do something which you really love. Why? Because you can do it for a longer period of time, right? If you want to be a cricketer, then it's okay. Break all the shackles and go play cricket. If not for India, you can at least play Ranji, uh, right? It's like that. So one thing I knew was that maybe I might not be able to sit and deliver and code and deliver projects, but I knew what my passion was towards. Right? Maybe I could build scale businesses, or maybe in future become an entrepreneur as well. Who knows? We don't know what uh, life has for us, right? So I was very clear and passionate about what I wanted to do, and the patience was the key, because what happens is when you're in the campus, when you're all very young, right? First year, second years, and third years, right? Lot of peer pressure gets accumulated, right? You see one of your uh, roommate or classmate goes to an internship, right? And you might not get that internship, and you might get placed in some government internship, right? And you start feeling bad about it, right? I don't think young guns currently in the campus need to think that deeper, right? And I don't think comparison at that young level plays a significant role. Yes, I did go through that, but now today when I look back, I realize that that was not at all needed, right? I think everybody has their own path. Everybody has their own journey to walk towards, and for that, what you need is you need absolute patience and perseverance, right? So I think for all the first, second, third years, and fourth years as well, who are still in the campus, I think having these three factors accumulated, and you identifying where you want to head towards, and you being able to convince your own stakeholders, in your case it would be your families and parents, right, on where you would like to head. I think that's the most important factor to rise as a good employee, or a good employee first and then a leader, right? And the second very important thing which helped me, and I think my mentors and uh, uh, my boss always tells me, is that to be able to lead, you need to be a performer first, right? uh, because don't show people the perspective on how to do stuff, right? Rather, do it and show, so that it is easy for people to just replicate it, right? So if an aspiring leader is not a performer himself to begin with, then there is then your team which you end up building will not have anybody to look up to, right? So perform first, lead next, right? Last but not the least, when you take the road of a startup, right? Generally, what you require is that will and commitment, right? That is, you need to start feeling that that company is your own, right? It's your company. You're committed to take that company to greater heights, uh, and then, I mean, you just take it so personal that you start driving it to any extent, right? But yeah, this is the framework on how things worked, on how things got set up for me personally, to start this journey, and then again grow as a leader. Going forward, I think now I'll enter into the most important thing, right? The 5 points I wanted to tell you guys, in which I'll also cover how it was to grow a startup pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, also across this only. But I believe that these top 5 points, I think if you guys sitting out of the campus know, then it is so easy for you to see the outside world. So uh, I used to have my junior when I was in fourth year. He was in third year, right? Named Ramakrishna. So I used to keep telling him that, you know what, life outside the campus is very different, right? The reality is so different, that we never get to see it, right? We feel so safe, secured within the campus, but suddenly when you go out, you see that, wow, there is a huge competitive world out there which you need to end up fighting, right? What all capabilities, what all things would you need to fight that? Nobody tells us. Everybody tells how to grow, where you should be 5 years down the line, where you should be 10 years down the line. But कोई ये आके नहीं कहता कि these 4 or 5 capabilities built within yourself, which will make maybe your journey seamless to where you want to head, right? I think me coming from that place, I would like to really speak about those realistic pointers which actually made me come this far, and also help grow uh, our business, right, across APAC in the last 2.5 3 years seamlessly, right? And these are just my learnings, right? So I'll start with the first thing, right? Whether it is pre-pandemic or post-pandemic or whatever situation or scenario of a startup, right? Whether it is pre-seed, seed, Series A, Series B, Series C, whatever, right? Always have the startup mindset, right? In simple terms, it is solve problems, analyze issues, right? Um, in general, the tendency is to habituate to processes, right? On okay, it's a 9 to 5 job. You check in. You there are certain processes, a lot of approvals. There's, I mean, less ownership but more mundane tasks, right? But when you have the startup mindset, not only while working in a startup, right, in any job, if you have something like that while you're working, while you're studying as well, sorry, in campus, it will really help. So if you have a problem at place, and I think IITs and specifically IIT Patna has always taught me that, right? So if you have an issue today, you have a submission tomorrow, and you might not have even started, right, a day before, you're thinking what to do, figure out some way, some jugaad, which we are best at, right? And we somehow get it done and submit it the next day. That's what we do 99% of the times. And I really hope there is no faculty on this bridge. uh, right, but again, coming back to the serious part of it, right, that means when we have less time, right, and we have more to deliver, we figure out some or the other way, right, to solve the entire problem, right? That when applied in your corporate world also is typical startup mindset. Don't crib on the issue. Don't feel that okay, this is a huge one, maybe this might get solved or might not. Just start solving it. It will happen, uh, for sure, right, when you have the right intent to solve it. I think I also connect it to an entrepreneurial mindset, the startup mindset, right? It's what helps you drive action, focus, and growth. And it allows you to think, act, and view the world and the organization or the customer problems very differently, right? And I think what does today's students or today's enthusiastic people or business leaders who want to grow should have is this entrepreneurial mindset, right? No matter what, always keep this mindset intact as long as you have the intent to very quickly grow, right? Yes, there are processes for good. Yes, there are people who set up and guide us for the right direction. But when you own the problem and you think you're the one who has to solve it, stand like a leader, have that commitment to solve, and be the CEO of that problem and solve it, right? And the best place to learn this is definitely college, right? You have so many issues with a fest, you have so many issues with organizing an event, but the most importantly, you have a lot of assignments, tests, exams to solve, and you think of a lot of actionable ideas to instantly solve those issues, right? That mentality, that mindset is very important to be carried across your career path as well, right? That's the first point. I think second and a very important point is for every individual to being vision and result driven, right? When I started, I mean, I think I well remember that uh, when this B2B SaaS journey started, and it was very young at that point in time, right? And people told that this kind of roles which you're looking at, they don't exist in the system, right? So you're either IIMs and MBAs where you take care of the finance operation and the marketing part of it, or you are a techie coming from an IIT and you build and code systems and products. But they can't be a, or I don't think there was thought of bridging that, right? But my intent was, what if a techie out of an IIT who can understand tech might not be able to code, and understands it so well that he can deliver it to the end customers, then I think the value add is immense and more, right? That was the vision, right? And I very strongly believed in it, right? So when you have the right vision and you start applying it in the organizations you join, it's just a matter of time that, and then you need to obviously start showing results around it also. That's the point in time when people start believing it, right? That okay, that things are happening the right way, the right direction. So I mean, I think we just need to believe it, right? So that's where I say, right, whatever is the circumstance, when you stand for what you believe and raise above the situation, right, then rest assured that your vision is just irreplaceable force, right? I think the same applies at yellow.ai, right? When we started APAC expansion, I was pretty new. It was pretty new for me because it's all regional in language, culture, everything. But it was all about that. Do you have an alternative? No, I don't have an alternative. You have to crack the market. Yes, you have to crack the market. How do you do that? Just get started, right? Just trust in your instincts that you can do it well. But I think one very important point in this entire vision and result driven scenarios is that never cover up your incapability with false data. It is loss of oneself. So there are two ways of working, right? One is you do something, you realize that it did not work out, you stand up and say it did not work out. Yes, I think I need to learn, take a step back, learn, and then deliver again, right? Or you say that you do some incomplete work and then later say that fine, uh, I'll just make it up and get a sign off and say okay, whatever is done, I think I have done enough, it's decent enough, so let's move on, right? Will it help in the long term, in the long run? Never, right? When you intend to solve a problem, right, then you have to solve it 100%, right? But if you feel that you're not capable enough to fit in or solve the issue, then you need to step back, learn that stuff clearly, and then address it again to solve it completely, right? But covering up incapability with false data is completely losing your own trust on yourself in the complete long run. Trust me, guys. Sitting in the campus, I think this is something which is very easy to learn and develop within you. And when you come out of the campus, this is something which will really, really help you grow, right? Yeah, I think what comes next is strategy. Strategy is a, I mean, that's the only term in English, in corporate English, which I hate to the core, but I think in this scenario, it's definitely should be used, right? Strategy is nothing but a typical planning, right, on how and where you would like to head. Um Again, taking an example of the journey, right? When again at yellow.ai, when it all started, or when we were thinking about APAC expansion and stuff, right? There was no specific plan. It was all gun blazing. It was just entering the market. We just entered Indonesia, a few other countries, and we just started executing stuff, right? But again, when you think about scale without planning, that is like it's impossible, right? And when you would like to scale yourself into the system and then approach the market, the customers, the business, everything from an expansion and scalability standpoint, nothing works without strategy and being highly accurate from your thinking perspective. So I strongly believe these four pointers, right? That with focus, it grows the right knowledge. With with a lot of practice, your accuracy grows, right? With confidence grows your capability, and with passion, with sheer passion and will and commitment grows your responsibility towards that work, right? Only when you as an individual are clear that all these four are steadily growing day by day, then your success curve is definitely going up the hill, right? I think in the last few years also, right, if we have been continuously scaling, it's only because we are trying to learn the right things at the right time with highest amount of accuracy, so that whenever we are delivering something into the market, we are delivering it with complete accuracy, right, and sheer passion. I think for any future business leader or a techie, right, I think shortcuts are not the way, right? You need to have immense knowledge on what you would like to execute, right? You have to be you have to be really patient, practice a lot, and be accurate when you deliver, right? And you need to have that responsibility, or typically we call it ownership, right? Ownership in the entire scenario which you take up, right? So that's the whole idea of this part of the slide, right? That your knowledge, your IQ, and your skills are your most powerful weapons. Only when all the three are at its peak and the world welcomes you automatically with a large smile and a big hug. Why? Because you end up being a huge performer when all of them are working absolutely well, right? So again, when entering the corporate world, or if you join a startup and you expect your value add to be immensely shown in a startup, then you have to make sure that all that what we have discussed at this stage has to be perfectly executed, right? Okay, I think this is the fourth one and a very, very important one, my favorite, right? Uh, your team and your relationships, right? What is a team? Team, the right definition, I think, who else better knows than IIT and IIT Patna and the fest we have? I mean, who better than us know what's a team is, right? I think Anvesha itself would have what, easily 50, 60, 70, or even more organizing team, including the volunteers. Celesta would have what, 30, 40 a team. Is it possible for one coordinator or convener to just stand up and say, let me execute the entire fest at a time? It's impossible. Is it possible to do it with just coordinators and sub coordinators without volunteers? It is absolutely impossible. And second problem statement, how do we know who is the next coordinator of Celesta? How do we know who is the next convener of Celesta, right? We know because the folks in the third year or fourth year, or while they are executing their job, are already identifying their future potential leaders to lead the fest better than them in the coming years, right? I think that's how the future leaders are built, right? the the point is very simple, guys. Whether it's an established company where your role is small, whether it is a very young company where your role is very big and you have to spread a lot with your wings, right? You never ever need to be in the helm or the control to prove a point or solve a problem, right? It's all about, you giving yourself that own leadership and telling that, okay, if I decide to solve it, I'll solve and show the company, the world, that yes, this can be solved this way, right? When you do that, the world will automatically realize that the true leadership potential in you, right? If suppose somebody comes up and says, I want to do this fest in a very larger scale than last year, people would say, hey dude, it's not possible within the sort of budgets we have. Only if you take that extra mile step and do something different from a sponsorship acquisition perspective, or optimizing the costs and creating more events within Celesta, only when Celesta becomes from a 2 day event to a 3 day event, for example, right? Then people will realize that, okay, this guy's statement was not just false, but he actually didn't showed it, right? So the point is very simple. You Whenever you decide to lead, don't expect a leadership role to be given to you, right? The difference in the processes which you brings in the system will make people feel that you're present in that entire atmosphere, right? I think this is one very important feature what I've observed in the startups I'm advising, and in my current organization as well, right? You see a lot of people around you who are taking ownership automatically, right? And getting stuff done, and then you look back and you are mesmerized that, wow, though it's not his or her job, they took it up on their own and they got it solved, right? So I think that that's sort of an intent mindset, again, which the college or the university provides you with so many fests, inter ITs and stuff, right? Utilize those situations to grow this capability within you as an individual. Really helps a lot to succeed when you come out, right? Last, but never the least point on this fourth point of mine, right? As we say, right? As we say in the startup world, that today's startups are tomorrow's conglomerates, right? When Flipkart started, it was a very young company, correct? It's a huge company now. Yellow.ai, when I joined, was like what, 10, 20 people company or even lesser. And today we are a 1,000+ employee company in like 3.5 years, right? So that's the point, right? Today's startups are tomorrow's conglomerates, but then this applies to the individuals also. Today's rep or today's developer is tomorrow's VP engineering or VP business, right? So it's all about capturing the right talent, the right individual at the right time, grooming them, right? Right. That's what we say, right? Hide them early, groom them, train them towards excellence, and then you see that there is a future leader who is ready to lead your team, lead a function, or lead the entire company, right? Leadership is not a position. Leadership is a trait, right? Learn it with a lot of activities around you. Take a lot of ownership. It might not be just activities, right? It could be work. It could be your assignment. Anything, getting stuff done from a group level will automatically make you a leader, right? and it's a very important trait for everybody uh, from first to fourth year sitting out of college, right? Yeah, I mean, one of the statements which I like, right? Okay. Uh, I think fifth and last point mostly, right? That winning customers beyond borders a tale to tell, right? I think the reason I kept it so open is because I thought I'll tell uh, my own story of how things worked, right? Which is the title of today's presentation, the startup journey, growth pre and post pandemic, right? Uh, I think due, I think the funny part was when I was asked to start doing the international expansion in Asia for Yellow AI. Uh, then I and my colleague Keshav, we both started. We flew down to Indonesia. We had no idea of which country we were going to, what language would they speak. We went down and then we said, okay, now we have to figure out a way, start meeting customers, and create a business out of this region and the country, right? We were clueless. We had no idea what to do. But we were very confident that uh, if we identify the root problem, or the root idea of how to crack this entire region, then I think we can just build on top of that, right? So we were less strategists, but more excited and enthusiastic from an execution point of view, right? Because we ourselves wanted to do and show something, right? Like that, we met one prospect or one company during that time. It was, I think it was Feb or March 2020. That's when pandemic just started in China, right? So we met few customer, few people. We understood their intent, how the entire market works. We passed on the message to the R&D in India that maybe we'll have to build the product in this direction to make sure it works out. The pandemic busted out, we came back, right? So we could not go back for the next 2 years, and we were completely remote. Now, did that demotivate us, saying that, okay, for the next 2 years, now that we can't be in that country, can't speak their language, will we not able to succeed? Absolutely not, right? Fast forward, I think, again, as I told you, right, we were the leading profit and loss center, uh, with leading the revenue numbers for the last 2 years internationally for Yellow AI. How did we do that? Again, we just believe strongly in executing stuff rather than strategizing too much over and over it, right? Try to simplify every problem statement which you face, right? Doesn't matter going out of your comfort zone, which for me it happened. I was completely against moving out of India and the India business, right? Then I think my mentor, my boss, Neil, who came up and said, you know what, you don't have any other option. You need to break the shackle, move out, uh, and execute it, right? When only people put you up in such tough situations where you do not have any alternative on how to break out of it and then perform, you automatically make sure that you don't have an option. You have to grow yourself. You learn things fast, you execute things fast, and you perform unknowingly in a very, very fast manner, right? And I think that's the whole segment of inspiring and paving a path, right? So once you do that, once you execute, and once things start working out, you're already an inspiration, right? People look up to you and say, wow, if he could do, we could do it as well. That's exactly the story. That's exactly the point, right? A strategy could allow a leader to create plan to achieve a larger goal, right? But execution, on the other hand, involves little practical skills, right, to put a plan into full blown motion, right? But imagine, right, the guy, the leader who creates the strategy, executing himself, creates immense credibility. And I think 6 months down the line, after I and Keshav built the initial traction or market, when we hired a team, our our team were like spot on, and it was so easy for them to execute and just expand what we have created in the first 6 months of 1 year, right? I think that's how scale happens. That's how you pave paths and roads for people who are following you. And I think for that, as an individual, you should be prepared for any tough or larger and bigger uh, challenges in general, right? Trust me on this, guys. For all the young guys from first year to fourth year here who's listening out to me on today's session, that uh, there are out there, there are humongous challenges, right? Life uh, is shown fancy, but it is very tough, right? If today you see me talking, I don't know how many people think that, okay, X amount of time spent, he's there, maybe it's easy, right? But the path being walked was very, very tough. For that, you need to study hard, learn hard, have a good CGPA. And if somebody is telling you that CGPA is not important, then he's wrong, my friends. Right? Study more, learn more, but have your passion in mind, right? And uh, build on top of that, right? Trust, convince people around you that whatever you're trying to choose, you're trying to choose the right thing, but respect the entire process and the end goal. Right? That said, I think I, I I would like to end my presentation saying that there is always enough time to script a story of your choice. You just need to be focused and create an intriguing plot for yourself, right? Obstacles are absolutely natural. That is exactly what you're going to see when you're stepping out of the college. But just keep on learning the lessons and let them flow, right? Yeah, I think wishing all of you very best for the future endeavors. And I think with here, I think I would like to give it for Q&A. Thanks, guys. Any
Thank you,
questions?
sir. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, sir. And we would like to move on to the questions. I'll be asking them. So the first question is from Shambhavi. Sir,
Mhm.
what have been your most significant failures and what did you learn from them?
Yeah, I think great question, Shambhavi. I think I mean, if I'm just trying to if my entire presentation was too glorifying, then it was wrong. I mean, failures were more than successes if I pull out a ratio, right? Um, the first job when I joined, my mom used to say, "What kind of a job are you doing post IIT? Right? You're sending emails. That is that your job? I mean, did you do an IIT for that?" But then uh, the the point was I was clear on what I was learning, right? What you could learn out of the college, and what are you learning out of your first job, and how are you trying to build on uh, one after the other, right? And then after the next company I joined, right, they said you're on your own, man. There is nobody to support you. You do whatever you can. I said, but it's a blank slate for me. What do I write on that, right? So what happens is after a point, people make you more and more independent. There is nobody to help, so you life becomes a lot chaotic only when you fight that chaos out and then put yourself out, right? That's when you can learn at a time. So RP sir, the first boss I had, right, I still remember the day where he said, uh, this is what it is, this is what it is. You have to align how the product works, you have to see how the product can be built and how the go to market for this product happens. I said, sir, half of the words which you have used, I don't even know the meaning of them. Correct. And people around me, my colleagues around me, thought, okay, this boy is running away, right? Because so much pressure is impossible to be solved. The way I looked at it is, I said, do I have an option? No. Is this giving me a quicker path to my end goal? Yes, it could be. So am I trying to learn what I should be learning in next 5 years in the 1.5 year time or 1 year time? Yes. So that requires more stress, effort, and work. Might be. So let's do it, right? The end, but again, let's do it. Did not get the work done, right? Every path, I was so much audited, so much issues around. Again, it was like you just step on each of the issues, solve. People will judge, take the judgment positively, and then just keep on moving ahead.
Yeah. And we would like to move to the next question. Uh, it is from Kamal Nayan. What do you enjoy most about being an entrepreneur?
What do you enjoy most about? Okay, I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm still aspiring to be an entrepreneur, but I'm a responsible business leader on a very young company. Uh, I think what I love is that every day's challenge, hustle. Uh, though I'm telling you guys that end of the day, it gets very irritating because there are so many issues to be bothered about. Things are not happening the way you want and stuff, right? But that hustle, that chaos is the entire fun about it, right? You see your company with 5-10 people. Suddenly, 3 years down the line, you see your company with 1,000 people. You see your company with X valuation. 3 years, 4 years down the line, you see that your company is $1 billion company. That's the thing anybody can enjoy, right? Can you create the difference for an established large organization? You can't, right? But when you join a startup, when you join a very young company, you can create a significant difference with your own hands, and you can see the result in a very quicker time as well. I think that's what I always loved about startups, and that's the reason I joined all young companies, and today fortunate to be in one of the best companies of the world.
Okay, moving on to the next question. It is from Ayush Tripathi. What risks and sacrifices does such an enterprise demand?
Yeah, guys, I think I'll make it very straight, right? No false expectation. Uh, People look for a lot of work-life balance, and yeah, my family is like, you absolutely don't have that. They say that you are very bad about it and stuff. People say balance it and stuff, right? But I have a very different perspective. Not everybody agrees with it, but that's my perspective, right? Work hard and burn as much as time as you can when you're very young and quickly out of college and when you are in college, right? Whenever you have like 4 years of your college and maybe 4 or 5 years before you like settle down personally, you have that 1 decade of time, right, which you have to fully use. Work, learn, grow, right? I mean, you have to literally spend every minute, hour, in my opinion, in setting up your career and taking up the ladders as fast as possible. But if you're looking work-life balance since your age of 2021, there is no point, there is no fun, guys, right? I think what sacrifices does it require, is it requires you to sacrifice maybe few hours of your Netflix time, few hours of your OTT time, few hours of your travel time, right? I'm not saying you should stop doing all that, but what I'm saying is that it's okay to sacrifice some part of that at, while you're young. Spend that time also on your career, learning, growing. It really helps a lot in the long run, and that's my perspective about it.
Yeah, and moving on to the next question. It is from Asta Singhal. What are three most important habits to be a successful entrepreneur?
I think I just told the same, right? Yeah, you have to have the sheer will, right?
Okay.
Commitment, and you should always be thinking out of the box. It's okay, aspire करने में अपना क्या जा रहा है? Aspire to be something very big. For example, let me tell you my aspiration. Maybe I would like to lead or build my own company which is as big or better than Tesla. Nothing wrong, right? People might laugh about it. People might say, यार तुम्हें तो इतना बड़ा कंपनी बनाना है ऐसे ही. But aspire, there's nothing wrong in having an aspiration, there's nothing wrong in having a goal, uh, right? So have strong will, have strong commitment, and always be an aspiring person, right? Always think about doing something big. अगर उतना दूर भी नहीं जाओ पाओगे उस process में, if you reach at least 70-80% also, you look back, then you'll realize you have come a very long way, right? uh, I'm not saying I have great disciplined habits in terms of waking up and sleeping and stuff. No, I don't. But when it comes to work, I do not put anything, I do not prioritize anything apart from work when I'm like strictly working and working, right? Remember, guys, that whatever you sacrifice is only comes and returns as success. If you're saying that, okay, I want to do only whatever I want to do, but I don't want to like burn extra hours, but still I want to be successful. That's a myth, folks. That never happens. Burn a lot of time, efforts. Only then is when you're going to grow significantly in life.
Yeah, I think that would answer Asta's question. And moving on to the next question from Chanya. Sir, as we all know, business take time to grow, but youth are impatient. So, what would you like to say on this?
Oh, okay. You're talking about impatient to a very wrong guy. I don't think there is more. At least in my network, I don't think there is no impatient person than me, right? But that's what life teaches you. I think that was young businesses teaches you. And in fact, I mean, why is impatient looked at it wrongly, right? I think working in startups is all about having that aggression, right? Let's add a different work or terminology for impatient, right? You're aggressive, you might end up doing a lot of mistakes. Uh, Mistakes are fine till the time you don't repeat it, but that aggression is what is going to lead you to a lot of uh, quick successes, quick problem solvings, spend saving a lot of time, in turn leading to your company's goal, right? uh, Businesses take time, correct, the product needs to be built correct, but If you think you have the entire world's time, then you are wrong, because every industry, every company has something called a web, something called a bull run, right? So that could be for like a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. After that, new technology replaces that. So that's typical bull run, right? So you can't even go that slow. That you feel that it takes time to build stuff, so I'll build slowly. It's not like that. You see where the market is headed towards. You build for the market, build fast, sell fast, and grow along with your customers. That's the whole ideology of being aggressive. uh, I think being aggressive is okay till the time you're not repeating your mistakes.
Yeah. And going to the next question, it is from Padmaja Joshi. Sir, can you tell me about mistakes and challenges that a new startup can face with your own experiences?
Once again, I'm finding that question. So, can you please tell me what mistakes and challenges that a new startup can face with your own experiences? Okay, I think, yeah, I mean, I've been advising few young companies, also very young companies at seed stage or pre-seed stage, right? I think mistakes, the typical mistake is being overconfident, right? When you start thinking that you know everything about how to build a company, build a team, how to execute, I think that's where the problem starts. Once you acquire it, once you have done it already, and then if you feel that okay, I know everything, it's fine. But the actual mistakes are when people start thinking that they know everything how to do. Let's implement. I mean, I could tell you all practical problems of funding, fundraise, and all that. Also, I don't think that's not needed for you, Padmaja, now. But I think the point is identifying the right team, identifying the right idea, spending the right spending the most valuable thing in your lives currently, which is time, on the right problem to solve. I think these are uh, the challenges to be identified, right? Mistakes are when you do stuff very wrongly. So there are so many startups nowadays, right, which are born out of colleges. But while that is inspiration to you, you should also be able to assess yourself on whether you are ready to do stuff, or you are able to build your company now. I also had the same itch of starting a company, but did I start out of college? No. Why? Because I thought I was not ready. It's okay not to be ready, right? But would I do a mistake by jumping into it and wasting some valuable time very early just because I was itching to do it? I would not, right? So there is a right time for the right things to happen. Never be too over enthusiastic and pick up challenges that you might not be ready to solve. I think these are few mistakes I've seen people doing and people failing also around.
Yeah. And can we move on to the next question?
Yes, absolutely.
Um, it is from Janish. You mentioned that it was a tough experiences leaving India. I too feel like not living in India, and it will be very tough situation if it arises. Can you throw some light on this choice, like pros or cons?
Okay. Uh, Again, you're asking the wrong person. I am like, I never would like to leave my family, my mother and my father and go out of India, right? So I was that sort of a guy, but I later realized that uh, it's not about what it's just not uh, it's not about what you want to do, right? It's also about where your career is rightly progressing. For example, if you want to be a great techie, you want to build good products, code well, maybe you will have to have a good strong masters in computer science. Then you will have to go out. It's no other alternative, right? Or maybe you can get it done through IITs only, right? You do an MTech IIT. In an alternative, if you don't get that, then you have to go, right. See, there are two ways of looking at this. Today's youth, right, दे आर वेरी मच अट्रैक्टेड दैट ओके बीटेक किए अच्छा जॉब नहीं लगा, या फिर वो पीयर प्रेशर में हमें लग रहा है कि अपना जो भी जॉब लगा है वो सही नहीं है, तो फिर चलो मास्टर्स चलते हैं वहाँ पे, एमएस के बाद कोई कंपनी में कोई अच्छा डेवलपर जॉब मिल जाता है. That's the perspective, then you have to relook into it, right? But I think you folks are very young enough uh, too young to take a judgment on what is right, what is wrong. I think for a few more years, right, while you're in the third, fourth year and the right decision making or way to hit your career, you would still need a guide, a mentor who has been in the industry and the market for a long time, telling you what is right, what is wrong to be done, right? And that could be your parents as well. So I think. I mean, again, my personal choice was I never wanted to leave India for my job as well, nor my father wanted to send me. But after a point, we understood that it's really important for my career to grow of going out of India, and I just couldn't lock myself there, and I took that bet. So sometimes it's not about your choice you want; it's about the situation which actually leads you to do that as well. And again, when you're young, always be open to do multiple other things.
Yeah. That would surely answer Janet's question, and we would like to move on to the next question. It is from Man
Absolutely.
Singh. Sir, how do you cope up with challenges, either family or colleague pressure at start of your journey?
या आई मीन आई रिमेम्बर वो सीसी है ना मेन बिल्डिंग में, वहाँ से मैं बाहर आ रहा था तो आई वाज आई मीन आई थिंक 10 12 11 o'clock in the night when we went to play counter strike. I don't know if I should tell all this also or not. I might be spoiling you guys, but हाँ उस टाइम पे 10 12 बजे we were going to play counter strike, and then my mom called and like, you're at 4-2, what is your job? I'm like, I'm still figuring out uh, what job to take up and stuff, right? So it was not easy, but then again, I think at least in my case, the family support was immense, right? So I think it's really important. Uh, Again, that's what I was telling in my entire presentation also, right? That how well can you convince internally? How well can you sell yourself internally within your families? That's very important, right? If you have an aspiration to do, are you able to convince your people? Are your people able to trust you that you have that focus, dedication to win intern? I mean, that you whatever you aspire to do, you can do. Only then they'll give you that sort of support to grow, and then you work on it, right? And colleague pressure, peer pressure, never, guys. Every individual is different. Everybody's work ethic is different. Everybody's effort, how much they put into work, is very different. No judgments, no peer pressure at all, right? Again, you write script of your own life, and no scripts are the same, right? Then life is boring, right? If everybody works in the same template, what's the point, right? But yeah, there was a lot of comparison. The first company where I went, people told me, you're an IT and you're in this company doing this job, what are you doing, right? I said, maybe this is just the start. So as I told, I moved forward a lot. I came through a lot of journey. I walked down a huge amount of lane in it, the path which I wanted to. But yes, people who told me that you're at the wrong place might have gone in a different journey side, but I don't regret it because I was damn clear on where I started and where I wanted to head.
Yeah, that was really helpful. And moving on to the next question from Anubhat. What is your suggestion for students or people who are aspiring big?
Suggestion is very simple. Aspiration alone is not enough. Work very hard, guys. Study very hard. Work very hard. Uh, be very conscious. No, I mean, play when you need to play, chill when you need to chill. But I've seen two kinds of students, or young guys in my whole this persuasion, right? I've seen people who are like too much bookies, sitting and saying that, okay, just studying, sitting and studying is important, rest everything is useless. I've also seen people, I'm of that category, which like a lot of extracurricular activities and let's studying, right? Both are not good. That balance of right theoretical knowledge acquisition and extracurricular is very very important, right? Only
Yeah.
when you do not have that combination set in place, then your mind doesn't open up, right? So you might be a great coder, you're the topper of the CS department today at IIT Patna. You come out, join a company, but your skills of talking to your colleagues, talking to your manager is not great, so you'll never grow, right? So both your theoretical education and your interpersonal skills are very important to grow for any aspiring person in life.
Okay, so moving on to the last question um, from Sri Viper. Sir, how to find the right friend group who would support us for our next tackles?
Whether friends go forward support for us and next tackle. I think great question, Vaibhav. I think friends are a very important factor uh, at colleges, right? I don't know, you guys still have the college elections because you guys are not in the campus. But I think elections are the best part, guys. I mean, you friends with you talk to few, you bring a lot of people together. You share those positions, you plan your voting, right? Not only just that, right? That could be one scenario. When you play, when you select a sport, you have a team. When you do gaming, you have a team for yourself. Like that, I think I had a team for Counter Strike, e-gaming. I had a team for cricket because I represented IIT Patna, two inter-IITs, three. I think again election, again different teams, your batch, your hostel, your seniors. I think they play an impeccable role in your life. Why? Because those are the people with whom you exchange ideas, thoughts, and uh, where the market is heading towards. Your alumni is important. Your friends are very important because now you're sitting at home. You guys have no idea uh, how it works. But when you're sitting in Patna, away from your home at college, friends are your family, and they are the ones who help you in that entire path. So I think having the right friends, the right group of friends, there is no right and wrong in friendship. Be good, well versed with everybody in the institute. Uh, yeah, and just go work with everybody across as much as possible.
Yeah, I think we would experience it very soon, all this. And I think we would end this question answer session. Due to the time constraint, we thank you, sir, for coming to this session. We really hope all the viewers enjoyed it. Uh, it has been really wonderful guest lecture. Hope that everyone has something to gain from this. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you very much for having. Bye, guys.
All right. So that was end of our guest lecture one. Hope you all have enjoyed it. Mr. Haran was very informative, and I do believe that all of you have something to learn from it. And this is not the end. This is just beginning of our guest lecture series. We will be back to you tomorrow, 3rd April at 12 noon, with another guest lecture by Sir Sri Pratik Kumar Kishore on self reliance in defense technology. I just hope that you all will be here with us tomorrow for Sir Sri Pratik Kishore. Till then, for more information, you can move on to www.celesta.tech and you can see all the events and guest lectures currently going on our website. Well, this is the end of our guest lecture. We guys will see you tomorrow. Till then, take care. Bye bye.